It was a quiet evening in Willow Creek, a small town nestled between rolling hills and sprawling farmland. Most people were settling into their routines, watching TV, cooking dinner, or tucking their kids into bed. But for Dr. Emily Carter, an astrophysicist with a passion for unraveling the mysteries of the universe, nights like this were her favorite. She often spent them alone in her observatory on the outskirts of town, peering through telescopes at distant stars and galaxies. That night, however, something unusual caught her attention. As she adjusted the settings on one of her instruments, a strange anomaly appeared on her monitor. At first, she thought it might be interference from weather patterns or solar activity. After all, space was unpredictable and odd readings weren't uncommon. But as she studied the data more closely, Emily realized that what she was seeing wasn't natural. There were objects, large ones, hovering just beyond Earth's atmosphere. They weren't moving randomly. They seemed to be stationed there almost as if they were waiting. Her heart raced as she double-checked her equipment, worried that it might be malfunctioning. But everything worked perfectly. The readings were real. Whatever these objects were, they were massive, far larger than any satellite or spacecraft humanity had ever built. Emily felt a mix of excitement and fear bubbling up inside her. Was this some secret government project, or could it be something else entirely? Unable to contain her curiosity, Emily decided to take a closer look. She pointed her telescope toward the area where the anomaly had been detected. What she saw made her gasp aloud. Through the lens, she could make out faint outlines of enormous structures floating silently above the planet. They looked like ships, starships, but nothing like anything she'd ever imagined. These vessels were sleek and angular, with glowing panels lining their hulls. Some of them stretched hundreds of miles across, dwarfing even the largest aircraft carriers on Earth. For a moment, Emily froze, unsure of what to do next. Should she call someone? Report her findings? Her mind raced with possibilities. If these really were alien ships, and she couldn't think of any other explanation, it would change everything. Humanity would no longer be alone in the universe. But what did these beings want? Were they here to explore, to conquer, or simply to observe? Before she could decide, the sky suddenly changed. It started subtly, a shimmering ripple, like heat waves rising off asphalt on a summer day. Then, without warning, the fabric of the heavens seemed to split apart. It wasn't literal, of course. There was no tear in reality itself. Instead, the air above Earth grew hazy, revealing what had been hidden until now. Dozens of colossal star destroyers hovering ominously overhead. Their presence was overwhelming, casting long shadows over the landscape below. The sight was both breathtaking and terrifying. Each ship bristled with weapons and glowing engines, exuding power and menace. For a brief moment, time seemed to stand still. Birds stopped chirping, cars slowed to a halt, and people everywhere stared upward in stunned silence. No one knew what to say, or what to do. Word spread quickly. Within minutes, phones began buzzing with alerts and messages. Social media exploded, with videos and photos of the alien fleet. News outlets scrambled to cover the event, interrupting regular programming to broadcast live footage of the sky. Governments issued statements urging calm, but panic was already setting in. People flooded grocery stores buying supplies in bulk. Others barricaded themselves indoors, fearing the worst. Back at the observatory, Emily tried to piece together what was happening. She reached out to colleagues around the world, sharing her data and observations. Scientists everywhere were baffled. How had these ships arrived undetected? Why hadn't anyone noticed them earlier? And most importantly, what did they want? As hours passed, the situation grew stranger. Communication systems began failing worldwide. Phone lines went dead, internet connections dropped, and GPS signals became unreliable. Even satellites orbiting Earth started malfunctioning, sending garbled transmissions back to ground control. It was as though the alien fleet was disrupting every form of technology humans relied on. Despite the chaos, Emily refused to give in to fear. She knew that staying calm and focused was crucial. Gathering her notes and recordings, She prepared to leave the observatory and head to the nearest research facility. Surely governments and scientific organizations would need all the information they could get about these mysterious visitors. On her way out, she glanced up at the sky one last time. The star destroyers loomed above, silent and immovable. They didn't attack, nor did they attempt to communicate. They simply hovered there, watching. It was impossible to tell whether they were friend or foe. All Emily knew was that life as she, and everyone else, knew it would never be the same again. As she drove away from the observatory, her mind buzzed with questions. Who were these beings? Where had they come from? And why had they chosen this moment to reveal themselves? One thing was certain: whatever happened next, humanity was about to face its greatest challenge yet. Little did Emily know, her role in this unfolding drama was only beginning. Her discovery would thrust her into the center of a global crisis, forcing her to confront not only the unknown, but also her own fears and doubts. In the days ahead, she would find herself working alongside brilliant minds, making decisions that could alter the fate of the entire planet. But for now, all she could do was keep moving forward, one step at a time, hoping that answers, and perhaps even allies, would emerge from the darkness above. And so, the story of Earth's encounter with the stars began not with a bang, but with a quiet, unsettling revelation that would echo across history. The world was in chaos. News of the alien fleet spread like wildfire, igniting fear and confusion across every corner of the globe. In cities, people gathered in streets and parks, staring up at the sky with a mix of awe and terror. Parents held their children close, whispering reassurances they didn't fully believe themselves. In rural areas, farmers paused their work to gaze upward, wondering if this was the end of life as they knew it. Even animals seemed restless, as though sensing the unease gripping humanity. Governments scrambled to respond. Emergency meetings were convened in secret bunkers and war rooms, where leaders debated what to do next. Military forces mobilized, positioning troops near major cities and strategic locations. Fighter jets patrolled the skies, ready to intercept any hostile action from the alien ships. But despite all these preparations, no one truly knew how to handle the situation. The sheer scale of the alien fleet was overwhelming. Each star destroyer was larger than anything humans had ever built, bristling with weapons that could obliterate entire continents. Dr. Emily Carter found herself thrust into the spotlight. Her initial observations had made her a key figure in humanity's response efforts. Scientists and government officials flocked to her observatory, eager to learn more about the alien ships and their technology. Emily shared her data freely, explaining what she had seen and theorizing about possible intentions behind the visitors' arrival. She emphasized the importance of caution but also urged restraint, warning against jumping to conclusions without evidence. "We don't know why they're here," Emily told a group of military commanders during a briefing. "They haven't attacked us yet, so we shouldn't assume they're hostile. Our first priority should be understanding them, not provoking them." Her words carried weight, but not everyone agreed. Some argued that waiting was too risky. They believed the aliens posed an existential threat and advocated launching preemptive strikes to neutralize the fleet before it could strike Earth. Others suggested evacuating major cities and preparing for the worst. The debate raged on, dividing nations and fueling public anxiety. Meanwhile, ordinary citizens struggled to cope with the uncertainty. Social media became a battleground of rumors and conspiracy theories. Some claimed the aliens were gods come to judge humanity. Others insisted they were invaders bent on enslaving or exterminating mankind. Videos of supposed abductions and sightings of strange lights flooded platforms like YouTube and TikTok, further stoking panic. Amidst the hysteria, Emily worked tirelessly, alongside a team of experts tasked with analyzing the alien ship's behavior. Using advanced telescopes and radar systems, they tracked the movements of the vessels, searching for patterns or clues that might reveal their purpose. So far, the fleet remained eerily still, neither advancing nor retreating. It was as though they were observing Earth, studying its inhabitants before making their next move. Days turned into weeks, and still, there was no communication from the aliens. Humanity tried repeatedly to reach out, broadcasting messages in various languages, mathematical sequences, and even musical tones. Radio signals, laser beams, and satellite transmissions, all aimed at the fleet, went unanswered. The silence was deafening, leaving many to wonder whether the aliens even understood human attempts to connect. Emily grew increasingly frustrated. She couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. Something about the situation felt off. The longer the aliens lingered without explanation, the more uneasy she became. What were they waiting for? And why hadn't they made contact? Then, just when hope seemed lost, something unexpected happened. One of the smaller alien vessels detached itself from the main fleet and began descending toward Earth. Its approach was slow and deliberate, almost ceremonial. People watched in stunned silence as it entered the atmosphere, glowing faintly as it passed through layers of air. The ship landed in a remote desert region, miles away from any major population centers. Within hours, news of its arrival reached global audiences. Speculation reached fever pitch. Was this an act of aggression? A reconnaissance mission? Or perhaps a gesture of diplomacy? No one knew for sure. Military forces quickly surrounded the landing site, establishing a perimeter and setting up surveillance equipment. Scientists, engineers, and linguists were flown in to prepare for potential interaction. Among them was Emily, who insisted on being part of the team sent to investigate. "I'm the one who discovered them," she argued during a heated meeting with government officials. "If anyone can help interpret their actions, it's me." Reluctantly, the authorities agreed. Armed with cameras, recording devices, and protective gear, Emily joined a convoy heading toward the alien craft. As they approached the site, the tension in the air was palpable. Soldiers gripped their weapons tightly, eyes darting nervously toward the horizon. Everyone knew that whatever awaited them inside the ship could change the course of history, or seal humanity's fate. When they arrived, the alien vessel loomed before them like a monolith from another world. Its surface shimmered faintly, reflecting the sunlight in dazzling hues. There were no visible windows or doors, only smooth metallic panels that seemed to pulse with energy. For several tense minutes, nothing happened. Then, with a soft hum, a section of the hull slid open, revealing a dark interior. Everyone froze, unsure of what to expect. Would the aliens emerge peacefully, or would they attack? Emily took a deep breath, stepping forward cautiously. She wasn't armed, only carrying a tablet loaded with visual symbols and mathematical equations designed to facilitate communication. Behind her, soldiers raised their rifles, fingers hovering over triggers. A moment later, figures emerged from the shadows of the ship. They weren't monstrous or grotesque as some had feared. Instead, they appeared humanoid, standing tall and slender with sleek, reflective armor covering their bodies. Their faces were obscured by helmets, but their eyes glowed faintly, casting an otherworldly light. For a few heart-stopping seconds, the humans and aliens simply stared at each other. Then one of the beings stepped forward, raising a hand in what seemed like a gesture of peace. Emily exhaled slowly, lowering her guard slightly. She activated her tablet and displayed a series of images: a sun, a planet, and a stick figure holding out its hands. To her relief, the aliens responded. The aliens, one of them extended a device resembling a small screen, projecting a series of geometric shapes and symbols. It was clear they were trying to communicate, but bridging the gap between species would take time. As the exchange continued, Emily felt a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, humanity wasn't facing annihilation after all. Perhaps these visitors had come not as conquerors, but as explorers, or even refugees. Still, countless questions remained unanswered. Who were these beings? Why had they chosen Earth, and what did they want from humanity? Little did Emily know the answers to those questions would challenge everything she thought she knew about the universe, and force her to make decisions that could alter the destiny of two civilizations forever. For now, though, all she could do was focus on the task at hand, deciphering the intentions of the mysterious visitors and ensuring that humanity's first encounter with extraterrestrial life didn't end in disaster. The desert air was hot and dry, carrying with it the faint scent of sand and metal. Emily stood just a few feet away from the alien beings, her heart pounding in her chest. The glowing eyes of the extraterrestrials seemed to pierce through her, as though they could see straight into her soul. Yet, despite their intimidating appearance, there was something oddly calming about them. A sense of purpose, perhaps, or an aura of intelligence that transcended fear. Communication began haltingly but steadily. Using her tablet, Emily displayed simple images and symbols designed to convey universal concepts: Earth, the sun, peace, and cooperation. To her relief, the aliens responded by projecting their own patterns onto the device they carried. At first glance, the symbols appeared incomprehensible. Complex geometric shapes arranged in sequences that defied logic. But Emily, with her background in pattern recognition and mathematics, quickly noticed recurring motifs. These weren't random designs. They were a language, albeit one unlike anything humans had ever encountered. Hours passed as both sides worked tirelessly to decode each other's messages. Soldiers stood guard nearby, their weapons at the ready, but no hostility erupted. The aliens remained calm and methodical, their movements deliberate and unhurried. Gradually, fragments of understanding emerged. Through trial and error, Emily and her team learned that the aliens referred to themselves as the Vrin. Their vocalizations, soft hums and clicks accompanied by subtle gestures, seemed to carry meaning beyond visual symbols alone. As communication improved, the Vrin revealed snippets of information about their origins. They came from a distant star system, part of a civilization far older and more advanced than humanity's. However, they were not conquerors or explorers, seeking new worlds to claim. Instead, they described themselves as refugees, fleeing from a cataclysmic threat known only as the Void Spawn. Emily listened intently as translators pieced together the fragmented details. According to the Vrin, the Void Spawn was a malevolent force that consumed entire civilizations, leaving behind barren wastelands devoid of life. It moved across galaxies like a cosmic plague, unstoppable and insatiable. The Vrin had fought valiantly to defend their homeworld, but in the end, they were forced to flee, abandoning everything they held dear. Now they wandered the stars, searching for sanctuary while trying to survive another day. This revelation sent shockwaves through the human delegation. If what the Vrin said was true, then Earth wasn't facing an invasion. It was witnessing the aftermath of a galactic tragedy. But skepticism lingered. Could the Vrin truly be trusted? Or were they manipulating humanity into lowering its guard? After all, their technology was light years ahead of anything on Earth. If they wanted to conquer the planet, they could do so effortlessly. Emily wrestled with these doubts herself. She knew that trusting the Vrin came with risks, but she also believed that rejecting them outright would be equally dangerous. Humanity needed answers, and the Vrin might hold the key to understanding the greater threat looming in the universe. With this in mind, she made a bold proposal during a private meeting with government officials and military leaders. "What if we help them?" Emily suggested, her voice steady despite the weight of her words. "Their ships are damaged. They wouldn't have landed here unless they needed repairs. If we share our resources and knowledge, maybe we can work together. In return, they could teach us how to defend ourselves against whatever's out there." Her suggestions sparked heated debate. Some argued that aiding the Vrin would leave Earth vulnerable, handing over valuable technology and resources to an unknown entity. Others countered that refusing to cooperate could provoke hostility, or worse, leave humanity unprepared for the Void Spawn's arrival. After hours of deliberation, a compromise was reached. Humanity would assist the Vrin under strict conditions. The aliens would provide full transparency about their intentions, share their advanced technology, and allow human scientists to study their vessels. In exchange, Earth would offer materials, energy supplies, and expertise to help repair their ships. With the agreement in place, teams of engineers, physicists, and linguists began working alongside the Vrin. What followed was a period of unprecedented collaboration. Human technicians marveled at the intricacies of Vryn engineering, learning secrets of interstellar travel, energy manipulation, and advanced weaponry. Meanwhile, the Vryn adapted remarkably well to human methods of problem-solving, demonstrating a willingness to share their knowledge freely. Through this partnership, Emily formed a close bond with one of the Vryn representatives, a being named Kaleth. Unlike his counterparts, Kaleth often ventured outside the confines of the alien ship, eager to observe human culture and customs. He communicated primarily through gestures and visual symbols, but over time, he began mimicking basic human speech, stringing together phrases like "thank you" and "we are friends." Kaleth became Emily's guide to the Vryn way of life. Through him, she learned more about their society, a civilization built on principles of unity, resilience, and survival. She discovered that the Vryn viewed Earth not as a target for conquest but as a potential ally in their fight against the Void Spawn. But Kaleth also shared grim warnings. The Void Spawn wasn't merely a distant menace, it was already en route to Earth, drawn by the energy signatures emitted during humanity's first contact with the Vryn fleet. This revelation filled Emily with dread. Time was running out, and the fragile alliance between humans and aliens would soon face its ultimate test. Back in cities and towns around the world, people reacted to the news with a mix of hope and fear. Images of humans and Vryn working side by side dominated headlines, inspiring some to believe in the possibility of coexistence. Others remained wary, questioning whether the Vryn's claims about the Void Spawn were genuine. Conspiracy theories flourished online, fueling protests and acts of vandalism against facilities housing Vryn technology. Despite the backlash, progress continued. Factories churned out components needed for the Vryn ship's repairs, while research labs buzzed with activity as scientists reverse-engineered alien tech. Schools incorporated lessons on astrophysics and xenobiology, preparing future generations for a world where humanity was no longer alone. Yet, beneath the surface of this newfound unity, tensions simmered. Military leaders kept a watchful eye on the Vryn, ensuring that their actions aligned with the agreed-upon terms. Politicians debated the ethics of sharing classified information with an alien species, and ordinary citizens grappled with existential questions. Who were humans in Yilao, the grand scheme of the universe? Were they ready to step onto the galactic stage, or would they falter under the weight of their own fears? For Emily, the answer lay in trust and cooperation. She believed that humanity's survival depended on embracing the unknown, even when it was frightening. Every interaction with Kaleth reinforced this belief. Despite their differences, she saw glimpses of shared values, curiosity, determination, and a desire to protect those they loved. As weeks turned into months, the Vryn fleet began to take shape again. Damaged hulls were repaired, engines hummed, back to life, and glowing panels lit up the night sky once more. But instead of departing immediately, the Vryn stayed, honoring their promise to teach humanity how to defend itself. Training programs were established, equipping soldiers and pilots with skills to operate advanced weaponry and spacecraft. All the while, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that a storm was brewing on the horizon. The Void Spawn was coming, and when it arrived, humanity would need every advantage it could muster. Little did she know, the battle ahead would require sacrifices, courage, and alliances stronger than anyone had imagined. For now, though, the skies above Earth remained peaceful, illuminated by the glow of repaired starships and the promise of a brighter future. But deep down, Emily knew that peace was fleeting. The real fight was yet to come, and when it did, humanity would stand, united, not just among themselves but with the Vryn, as defenders of a fragile blue planet caught in the crosshairs of cosmic danger. The days leading up to the Void Spawn's arrival were a blur of activity. Humanity and the Vryn worked around the clock, preparing for the battle that would determine Earth's fate. Factories operated non-stop, producing weapons and components based on alien designs. Military bases transformed into training grounds where soldiers learned to pilot advanced spacecraft and wield energy-based armaments. Scientists collaborated with Vryn engineers, fine-tuning Earth's defenses while upgrading the alien fleet's systems. Despite the urgency, There was a sense of purpose in the air, a shared determination to protect their home, no matter the cost. Emily Carter found herself at the center of it all. Her role had evolved from an astrophysicist studying distant stars to a key strategist coordinating efforts between humans and the Vrin. She spent long hours poring over data, analyzing potential strategies, and consulting with Kalith, her trusted Vrin ally. Together, they devised plans to counter the Void Spawn, drawing on both human ingenuity and Vrin technology. Kalith provided invaluable insights into the nature of the threat. The Void Spawn, he explained, wasn't a single entity, but a swarm, an ever-expanding mass of darkness capable of consuming entire planets. It fed on energy, growing stronger with every star or civilization it devoured. Its approach was relentless, and once it arrived, conventional weapons would be useless against it. Only coordinated attacks using energy-based weaponry could slow its advance. As Emily relayed this information to military commanders and world leaders, she emphasized the importance of unity. "We can't fight this alone," she said during a high-stakes meeting. "Our only chance is to combine our strengths with the Vrins. If we work together, we might stand a chance." Her words resonated deeply. For the first time in history, humanity set aside its divisions, political, cultural, and ideological, to focus on survival. Nations pooled resources, sharing intelligence and technology without hesitation. Citizens rallied behind the cause, volunteering for service, donating supplies, and offering support in any way they could. Even skeptics who had initially opposed the alliance with the Vrin now joined the effort, realizing that Earth's survival depended on cooperation. But not everyone embraced the partnership. Conspiracy theories continued to spread online, fueled by fear and misinformation. Some groups accused the Vrin of orchestrating the crisis to weaken humanity and seize control of the planet. Others claimed the Void Spawn was a fabrication, a ploy to justify handing over Earth's resources to an alien race. These voices grew louder as tensions mounted, leading to protests outside government buildings and even acts of sabotage against facilities housing Vrin tech. One particularly alarming incident occurred when a group of extremists infiltrated a research lab, attempting to destroy prototypes of energy weapons. Their plan was thwarted by quick-thinking security personnel, but the event served as a stark reminder of the challenges facing humanity. Trust was fragile, and maintaining order required constant vigilance. Despite these obstacles, progress continued. Pilots trained rigorously in upgraded spacecraft, learning to navigate zero-gravity environments and execute precision maneuvers. Soldiers practiced deploying energy shields and firing plasma rifles, tools far more advanced than anything they'd used before. Civilians contributed by building shelters, manufacturing supplies, and providing medical care for those injured during drills. Meanwhile, the Vrin prepared for war in their own way. Inside their massive star destroyers, technicians calibrated weapon systems and fortified hulls against the Void Spawn's corrosive influence. Kalith often accompanied Emily to briefings, explaining the intricacies of their tactics and answering questions from human commanders. His presence reassured many, bridging the gap between two vastly different species. As the final preparations neared completion, Emily felt a mix of hope and dread. On one hand, humanity had never been more united or better equipped. On the other hand, the stakes were unimaginably high. Failure meant annihilation, not just for Earth but for the Vrin as well. They had placed their trust in humanity, betting everything on this alliance. Finally, the moment arrived. Sensors detected the Void Spawn approaching Earth's solar system. It appeared as a swirling mass of blackness blotting out stars and distorting spacetime itself. As it drew closer, reports flooded in from observatories and satellites. The Void Spawn emitted strange frequencies that disrupted communication networks and caused power outages across the globe. Panic gripped cities, but emergency broadcasts urged people to remain calm and seek shelter. In orbit, Earth's combined forces assembled. Human pilots flew sleek spacecraft alongside Vrin warriors, forming a defensive perimeter around the planet. Each ship bristled with weapons, ready to unleash torrents of energy upon the encroaching threat. Below, Ground forces stood by, manning anti-aircraft turrets and monitoring radar systems for signs of enemy movement. Emily watched the unfolding drama from a command center located deep underground. Screens displayed real-time updates from the battlefield, showing the positions of Allied ships and the advancing void spawn. Kaleth stood beside her, his glowing eyes fixed on the monitors. Together they coordinated strategies, relaying orders to pilots and commanders alike. When the void spawn entered Earth's vicinity, the battle began. At first, the swarm seemed intangible, a shapeless void spreading outward like ink in water. But as it absorbed nearby asteroids and comets, its form solidified, revealing grotesque tendrils of shadowy matter lashing out at anything in its path. Ships that strayed too close were consumed instantly, reduced to nothingness. Human and Vryn forces launched their opening salvo, unleashing concentrated beams of energy designed to disrupt the void spawn structure. Explosions erupted in the vacuum of space, lighting up the darkness with bursts of light. For a moment it seemed the tactic was working. The void spawn recoiled, its tendrils retreating slightly. But then it retaliated. Waves of dark energy surged forth, targeting Allied ships with devastating accuracy. Shields flickered and failed, leaving vessels exposed to destruction. Pilots scrambled to evade, executing evasive maneuvers while returning fire. Chaos reigned as debris from destroyed ships floated aimlessly in space. Back in the command center, Emily fought to maintain composure. Casualty reports streamed in, each one a reminder of the lives lost in the fight. Yet amid the carnage, moments of heroism emerged. A squadron of human pilots sacrificed themselves to protect a damaged Vryn destroyer, ensuring its safe retreat. Another team lured a cluster of void spawn tendrils away from civilian evacuation routes, buying precious time for thousands to escape. Kaleth turned to Emily, his expression unreadable behind his helmet. "We need to draw it closer," he said, his voice calm despite the chaos. "If we can channel its energy through Earth's magnetic field, we may be able to create a feedback loop, overloading its core." Emily's mind raced. The plan was risky, requiring precise timing and coordination. If executed incorrectly, it could destabilize Earth's atmosphere, causing catastrophic consequences. But what choice did they have? "We'll do it," she replied firmly. "Tell me what you need." Kaleth outlined the strategy. A group of ships would lure the void spawn toward Earth, guiding it into position above the planet's poles. Meanwhile, ground-based generators would amplify the magnetic field, creating a conduit for concentrated energy blasts. The goal was to trap the void spawn in the resulting vortex, overwhelming its ability to regenerate. With little time to spare, Emily relayed the plan to Allied forces. Pilots volunteered immediately, knowing the risks involved. As they moved into position, Kaleth joined the fleet, taking command of a critical section of the operation. Emily remained in the command center, overseeing the deployment of energy, generators, and coordinating with ground teams. The final phase of the battle unfolded with breathtaking intensity. Allied ships darted through the void, dodging tendrils and firing relentlessly. Slowly but surely, they guided the void spawn toward Earth, its massive form looming ominously above the horizon. Below, generators roared to life, bathing the planet in pulsating waves of electromagnetic energy. At the designated moment, Emily gave the order. Energy beams converged on the void spawn, funneling its own destructive force back into its core. For a brief instant, the creature hesitated, its tendrils writhing in confusion. Then, with a deafening roar, it imploded, collapsing into itself until nothing remained. Silence fell over the battlefield. Survivors cheered, exhausted but triumphant. Back on Earth, people emerged from shelters, gazing skyward in awe. The threat had been neutralized, but at great cost. Countless lives had been lost and scars ran deep across the planet. Emily slumped into her chair, tears streaming down her face. Kaleth placed a hand on her shoulder, offering silent comfort. Though, battered and bruised, humanity had proven itself capable of standing shoulder to shoulder with beings from another world. Together they had faced the darkness and prevailed. But as Emily looked out at the repaired sky, she knew the journey was far from over. The universe was vast and unpredictable, filled with wonders and dangers yet unseen. And somewhere out there, new challenges awaited. For now, though, Earth had earned a reprieve, a chance to heal, rebuild, and dream of a brighter future among the stars. The aftermath of the battle left Earth forever changed. The skies, once filled with the ominous shadows of the void spawn and alien star destroyers, were now clear, but not without scars. Cities lay in ruins, their streets littered with debris from the chaos that had unfolded. Power grids were down in many regions, leaving millions without electricity or access to clean water. Hospitals overflowed with wounded soldiers and civilians, while makeshift memorials sprang up across towns and cities, honoring those who had given their lives to protect humanity. Despite the devastation, there was an undeniable sense of triumph. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge yet and survived. News outlets broadcast images of battered but smiling pilots, engineers, and ground troops who had played pivotal roles in the fight. Social media buzzed with stories of bravery and sacrifice, as people shared tales of loved ones who had fought valiantly against impossible odds. For the first time in history, humanity felt united, not divided by borders, languages, or ideologies, but bound together by a shared struggle for survival. At the heart of this unity stood Dr. Emily Carter. Her name became synonymous with courage and leadership, celebrated worldwide for her role in coordinating humanity's alliance with the VRIN. Interviews, documentaries, and even books chronicled her journey, from the quiet nights in her observatory to the high-stakes command center where she helped orchestrate Earth's defense. Yet despite the accolades, Emily remained humble. She knew that victory belonged not to one person, but to everyone who had contributed, whether through combat, innovation, or simply offering support from home. Kaleth, too, emerged as a symbol of hope. The VRIN ambassador had risked his life, alongside human forces, earning respect and admiration from both species. His willingness to bridge the gap between humans and the VRIN demonstrated that cooperation could transcend even the most profound differences. Together, Emily and Kaleth became icons of the newfound partnership, a testament to what could be achieved when two civilizations worked as one. In the weeks following the battle, recovery efforts began in earnest. Governments collaborated to rebuild infrastructure, prioritizing essential services like hospitals, schools, and communication networks. Volunteers poured into affected areas, clearing rubble, distributing supplies, and providing emotional support to grieving families. Scientists and engineers continued refining the technology shared by the VRIN, using it not only to restore Earth, but also to prepare for future threats. But rebuilding wasn't just about physical structures. It was about healing wounds, both visible and invisible. Many survivors struggled with trauma, haunted by memories of the Void Spawn's relentless assault. Mental health professionals worked tirelessly to provide counseling and resources, ensuring that no one faced their pain alone. Community events brought people together, fostering connections and reminding them of the strength they had shown during the darkest days. As Earth slowly recovered, the VRIN prepared to depart. Their ships, repaired and upgraded thanks to humanity's assistance, gleamed under the sunlight. Though grateful for the alliance, the VRIN understood that their presence on Earth would eventually raise questions and tensions. They had promised to share knowledge and technology, but staying longer risked overstepping boundaries, or worse, reigniting fears among skeptics who still doubted their intentions. Before leaving, Kaleth addressed a global audience, speaking through a translator device that allowed him to communicate in fluent English. "Your world has proven itself resilient," he said, his glowing eyes reflecting sincerity. "You have shown us that even in the face of unimaginable danger, you can stand united. We leave knowing that humanity is capable of greatness, not because of your weapons or technology, but because of your spirit." His words resonated deeply, bringing tears to countless eyes. When he finished speaking, Kaleth turned to Emily, extending a hand in gratitude. "Without you," he said softly, "none of this would have been possible." Emily shook his hand, her voice trembling with emotion. And without you, we wouldn't have stood a chance. Thank you. For everything. As the Vryn fleet ascended into the heavens, people gathered outside to watch their departure. Some cheered, waving flags and banners adorned with symbols of unity. Others stood silently, gazing upward with a mixture of awe and sadness. Though the Vryn were leaving, their impact on Earth would endure. Their technology had transformed industries, medicine, and energy production. Their lessons in resilience and cooperation had inspired a new generation of thinkers and leaders. And their story, of survival against overwhelming odds, would serve as a reminder that even in the vastness of the universe, no one was truly alone. However, the departure of the Vryn also marked the beginning of a new chapter for humanity. With advanced alien tech now integrated into daily life, debates arose about how best to use these tools responsibly. Should humanity focus on exploration, venturing beyond Earth to discover other civilizations? Or should it prioritize solving problems closer to home, such as climate change and inequality? These questions sparked passionate discussions, shaping policies and priorities for years to come. Emily found herself at the forefront of these conversations. Having witnessed firsthand the fragility of existence, she dedicated her remaining years to promoting peace and understanding, not just between humans and aliens, but among all living beings. She founded an organization called the Interstellar Alliance Initiative, IAI, aimed at fostering dialogue and collaboration across cultures and species. Under her leadership, the IAI established programs to educate young scientists, train diplomats, and develop ethical guidelines for intergalactic relations. Her work earned her international recognition, including nominations for prestigious awards. Yet Emily cared little for personal accolades. What mattered most to her was ensuring that humanity never forgot the lessons of its encounter with the Vryn. In speeches and interviews, she often emphasized the importance of humility and curiosity. We are small in the grand scheme of the cosmos, she would say, but our potential is limitless. Let us strive not to conquer, but to learn. To explore, but not exploit. To connect, rather than divide. Years passed, and Earth flourished under the influence of Vryn technology and philosophy. Space travel became commonplace, with missions launched to nearby planets and moons. Colonies sprang up on Mars and Europa, expanding humanity's reach beyond its cradle. Meanwhile, breakthroughs in medicine eradicated diseases that had plagued generations, while renewable energy systems powered cities sustainably. Yet even as humanity reached new heights, it never lost sight of its roots. Memorials commemorating the battle against the void spawn served as reminders of the sacrifices made to secure a brighter future. Schools incorporated lessons on interspecies cooperation into curriculums, teaching children the value of empathy and teamwork. And every year, on the anniversary of the void spawn's defeat, people around the world paused to reflect on how far they had come, and how much farther they could go. For Emily, the journey came full circle one evening, as she stood atop a hill, overlooking her hometown. The stars shone brightly above, unhindered by light pollution. Somewhere out there, the Vryn continued their voyage, searching for refuge from the void spawn. Though separated by unimaginable distances, Emily felt connected to them, to Calith, to the shared struggle, and to the promise of a better tomorrow. As she gazed upward, a single thought filled her mind. We are ready. Ready to embrace the unknown, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. And ready to step boldly into the stars, carrying with them the legacy of unity forged in the crucible of darkness. The story of Earth's encounter with the Vryn was more than just a tale of survival. It was a testament to the power of hope, trust, and determination. It proved that even in the face of overwhelming odds, humanity could rise above fear and division to achieve greatness. And though the road ahead was uncertain, one thing was clear: the journey had only just begun.